Welcome back to Another Triathlon Podcast brought to you by Mon Apparel. I'm Jenna-Caer and joined by Josh right now, and Fed will be jumping on in a little bit. But we are here to break down everything that went on this weekend. And for what was supposed to be a little bit more of a chill weekend after the incredible race at Ironman 70.3 World Champs, delivered in a very different way. But we're going to go through all the drama and give our opinions on some of the debates.
We're not going to settle anything.
We're not going to settle anything at this point. But first, we're going to catch up with the crew, see what's going on with them. And Josh, what's going on in your world these days?
Relaxed, refreshed, had a full week off of swim, bike, run. I don't know if I can say that as there has happened in the last 2 years, like where I didn't do a bike, a run, a swim. And last week I did that. I did a yoga on Saturday and I went for a hike on Sunday. And other than that, I did nothing. So it was really good. My coach actually called me today and asked how I was feeling. And I was like, I'm going to be ready to run like a 5K PR next week on Thanksgiving. It's like my legs are as fresh as can be, right? So it was a lot of running this season. So I'm actually back swim bike this week and some strength, and actually taking another second week off of running. So we'll get back to, I think we got 3 runs on the schedule next week, but nice, easy 4-mile runs. So yeah, just kind of easing back into it and getting refreshed and reinvigorated for next year, and still trying to work out my schedule for next year. Other than Nice, there's a lot of what ifs and ups in the airs around some world major marathons that my wife's doing and whether or not I'll be doing them. And then I did get an email that I got into Alcatraz again today. So my charity is like, we got bibs to Alcatraz. I was like, well, I think I can probably get in it, and then I can still raise money for you guys. So we'll see. That's in June. It's been there every year that I've thought about doing it. So we'll see if this year is the year I actually hit accept and put down the money. Yeah, I'm just excited to be fresh and after a hard year, be healthy, but now getting really, really healthy and knowing that the fitness is still up there and starting at a much better point than I was at this point last year. And that's the part, like, yeah, I'm not doing much. I'm not really losing fitness either, though, because I'm still way ahead of where I was last year. And that's exciting to think about where 2025 went in terms of races and PRs and where I got. And now my starting point's way, way ahead of where I was. So, yeah, I think I was like 15, 20 pounds heavier at this point last year, coming off of a niggle and injury from doing the back-to-back marathons and just in a different spot. So, yeah, really excited about that.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's the big thing. Like, to be able to build up stronger and better and faster, you do need to let a little bit of it go. Like, you can't always be on this upward trajectory because we're not robots, unfortunately. But that time to reset, but it's never, like you said, you're way ahead of where you were the previous year. So a little reset, little downtime, and you can just keep building yourself up even better and better and get all the PRs, which has been your trajectory this entire year, PR after PR after PR.
It's been a fun year in terms of PRs, for sure. It's been, again, this is the benefit to starting late and getting after it and being consistent at anything. You're going to continue to get a little faster and a little better and a little smarter. So that's been great, but it was nice to have all day Saturday off. I thought I'd sleep in Saturday until I woke up to all the notifications of what was going on in Dubai, and then proceeded to spend the entire afternoon going back and forth with Jenna on our social media and figuring out how we cover this.
Oh my goodness. We will definitely be diving into that extensively, because basically my what the F of the week is this whole episode.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, there's, yeah, we're covered. So Jenna's what the F is whatever takes place after this, minus her update on whatever she's got going on. And just in time, Fede, the All Blacks are here.
Hey, perfect timing. How are you doing, Fed?
Good.
Didn't the All Blacks just lose too?
Yeah, that's why I'm wearing the jersey. We need they need all the backup they can get. Tough loss against England. So, yeah.
Yeah, if it's not swim, bike, run, doesn't have 2 wheels, then I have no idea.
When you work
How
for
are you doing, Ted?
When you work for Super Try and all the British people in the organization, you learn some
Oh,
of these
fair.
things.
Yeah. You get
Yeah.
sucked in.
No, I'm good. I pulled off a Josh, so I ran a half marathon on Sunday post New York. Not as close as he did. Not a week, yeah, separating them, but yeah, it was good. I paced one of my friends who wanted to break hour 35, and we ran 1:33, so that was good. Pacing duties, and yeah, felt good. A bit of an eagle now on the ball of my foot, but I've
Mm.
been foam rolling and stretching and all of that, so nothing to worry about.
You just have to start swimming more again so you can get qualified for Marbella.
Yeah,
Or
For
sorry,
me,
Nice.
or
Never
knees.
mind, Nice. Yeah, yeah. We're so Marbella is still. We were just talking about Marbella before we started recording, but yeah, we got to get you to Nice.
Yeah, yeah. I need to get to knees. So right now I'm actually having a call with my coach in the next couple of days to plan the season for next year, and yeah, definitely need to put a 70.3 in there to try to qualify for Nice, and then we can all be there uh
for the
partying.
first time ever.
For the first time ever, we can, after the race, we can go to Monaco, which is very close, and we can just
Hey.
party with all the big bucks that triathlon leaves us.
Yeah,
Oh,
as I'm trying to work and save money to go to Berlin and run a marathon 2 weeks later.
Right. Oh yeah.
uh, cheapest sport, right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So cheap.
Oh, no, it should be good times. No, that's awesome to hear though that you had some fun with that. And it is a different experience just pacing someone and like running where it's not really racing. You kind of get to enjoy it a little bit more and just get that satisfaction of helping someone else reach their goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And I enjoyed it. It's fun to just keep looking at the clock and making sure the person's okay, and asking them if they need water or gels or anything. And
Mhm.
it's interesting because when they are in the hurt locker, they just want to let you go. A couple of times my friend was like, if you want to push, just leave me behind, don't worry about it. And I was like, nope, we're doing this for you, so I'm not leaving you behind. But it's important, like it's really important to, if you want to break like a certain time that you have in your head, and you have someone pushing you and pacing you, it goes above and beyond, because you can dig that much deeper, like if you were alone. So I think if you want to break a certain pace on the run or anywhere, just have a body that is willing to pace you, and that makes the whole thing much easier.
Apparently, I did a good enough job in New York. Patina texted me yesterday and said, "So, what are you doing for London?" Uh, so, my pacing duties are getting rejuvenated in London. Apparently, we're going to work on getting a bib there through a charity and pace her there. So,
Nice.
That'll be
and then I
awesome.
think in Tokyo, I'm going to pace Janine if I ever get into Tokyo. So, I've got pacing duties all over. I don't know when I'm going to run my own race again.
In Nice, maybe Nice.
Yeah.
Nice for sure. I can't. I can't pace you, Fede. Would get caught for drafting.
Yeah, right.
Well, for all the pacing, you will have ticked off all the majors in no time at all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the major goal there is do that and then really go PR Boston in 2027. That would be really fun.
That'd be wicked. Well, you guys may have heard I sound a little bit different, I'm guessing, than normal. Unfortunately, we were going to do a post Marbella podcast and something earlier on all the Dubai drama, but on the way back from Marbella and the few days afterwards, I got so sick, lost my voice. So I have been on no exercise and just trying to recover since all of the fun in Marbella. Totally worth it, but has been a little bit rough coming back. Got a race, and my Garmin keeps telling me about like 9 weeks till this next race. I'm like, since Kona, it's been like next to nothing for training. So definitely need to recover from this and get after a little bit more running. But yeah, Marbella was something else. Like there really is. This was the first 70.3 worlds I'd actually gone to. qualified a bunch of times and then just never ended up actually going. So of course, first time I go, I'm not even racing, but it
At
was,
least you didn't have to worry about your bike not making it back home.
oh man, the trauma there. And that's something we can chat about as well. People are still, like hundreds of bikes are still waiting. And when I checked into the airport on Monday, it was like checking in was fine. There was this insane line of bikes waiting to get
Right.
into like the oversized check-in kind of thing. Like this was spiraling around the airport because there was no setup or infrastructure for this insane amount of people
Like,
with
is
bikes waiting for.
Malaga Airport really small?
It
Is it like
is, yeah,
a little? Yeah.
more like a regional airport kind of deal. So it was, they were definitely overwhelmed. The people who drove to a larger airport to come in and out definitely made the right call for sure. But yeah, hopefully they get their bikes back soon. It sounds like they're kind of doing waves of cargo flights to get them back to the US, especially. But some drama there. But yeah, race day there, like I haven't experienced this much like energy at a triathlon ever. Like Kona is absolutely epic, but having like 6,000 athletes racing, it was next level. And the infrastructure they had with this place, they like built in all these footbridges to get around and stuff. And the brands just had these incredible activations. I have to give a shout out to Precision Nutrition and Hydration and stuff. They went above and beyond with like they had these mocktails going on all day, keeping everyone cool. They had some like fun races and events, and then they had an entertaining after party afterwards and stuff. So they're not a sponsor of ours, but they showed what these brands could actually do at some of these events to get people excited and fired up and hanging around the expo. Like it really felt a lot more like a festival kind of vibe. People are actually hanging out around the expo, which, you don't have to see at a lot of races.
It's interesting too because that wasn't something like they weren't the title sponsor for like a year or two in the making. This was only a few months ago that it got announced. So like if they were able to pull that off, like what do you think they can do when they actually have a good runway into an event? Like
Right?
kudos to Brad and all those guys on that team. I mean, it seemed like it was pretty epic. Their outfits, people racing in their kits, like you can't miss the precision colors and all that stuff. And then for them to be a part of an event and truly make it special for people there visiting and covering the race, that's pretty awesome.
It was very cool to see. But yeah, just have to give kudos to the Ironman group and stuff too, because like managing that many athletes is definitely not easy. But yeah, it was so fun just to be on site and be able to see this up close and personal. And I was kind of geeking out as I was sitting behind the finish line, kind of seeing it, the athletes run at me again and be able to get some of those views. It was, yeah, just a crazy event. And everyone else has talked all about the race through all the other podcasts, so we won't dive into that again. But just have to say the energy in the crowds and the setup were absolutely next level. So I was super impressed. The other kind of cool thing was that Scott Drew actually reached out to us for like a casual conversation kind of meeting. So something not to record, but just to have the opportunity to hear from us kind of like what we're hearing from the community, what people are looking for. And he was like, let me know, like any questions you have, ask away. We want to be transparent. We want to be open. And if they're doing that with like me and us with the
Yeah.
podcast, like we're still non-traditional media on the smaller side compared to like Triathlete Magazine or Slow Twitch and stuff, that he took an hour to just kind of get a temperature test, answer any questions, really kind of stood out to me. That's definitely not something we'd see Andrew Messick doing race week at a world championships, but they just seem to be a lot more kind of open and willing to hear feedback, which was really cool to see.
Yeah, I think it's really neat that he was willing to do that. I think it also shows the team of people that he's put in place underneath him or the way he has organized the staff that existed when he took over. We've been very fortunate to meet and talk to some of those members of his team, and they're so accommodating to every question or email that we send. And I think it's been really neat to see how open they are to that communication. And we're certainly seeing the impact of it and they're making changes. Whether they're there completely yet, we'll discuss, but I mean, they're definitely making changes.
Yeah, and we'll definitely dive into it more. But one thing he alluded to during that conversation was that there would be changes to the qualification system, and they had seen the data and they had sent more of the surveys, and they were making some adjustments to be announced. So I know a lot of it came out with the like Dave Scott. Was it Dave Scott sent out that petition like set up and stuff?
No, it was Mark
Mark
Allen.
Allen? Mark Allen, sorry. One of the Iron War participants.
One of the two.
Yeah. So Mark Allen had put out that petition and stuff, but from that conversation with Scott, this was kind of in the works to be announced shortly
Yeah.
after anyways. So that was some entertaining.
I think a lot of it came from the Woman in Tri UK girl as well too. Like she was a big proponent of this and had done a lot of research and sent them over a lot of information before the whole Mark Allen thing even came about. That was in the works.
Yeah, they had definitely been tracking it and seeing kind of what it looked like. And obviously, you can't ignore people have been very vocal about their thoughts in it too. But we will dive into that. But I think first, we have to start off with our What the F of the Week, which is an entire race, to be perfectly honest. Oh my goodness. Dubai T100. This was, I don't even know where to start with this, but there's all sorts of drama here. Fed, you kind of a rundown of what the race results were, and then we can dive into how we got there.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the results first before we dive into what happened. So we had first place Mika Newt. Was it Mika Newt after everything that happened?
Well, Mika Newt was the first one to actually get to the line and grab the only one to actually grab tape during the race.
Because I'm looking at the results here, and they haven't changed the results. They still have Mika. They still have Mika, Luis, and Dixon on the result thing. But
Mika finished second at the end of the day. So what happened is Morgan let out the swim, like had a great swim, and then Hayden did what he's done all year.
Let's start at the beginning there. So, like I said, like this is just so crazy. So, if you didn't watch it, this is one to definitely go back and watch. But so with the swim, it was Morgan Pearson was one of the ones leading out there.
So Morgan led out the swim. He's been leading a lot of swims in the T100 field, and then I think Hayden was in a pack that was like almost a minute back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then they get out on the bike, and as Hayden does, he closes that gap to the front quickly in there, closes that time. And then he goes off the front, and eventually we get into a pack with Hayden Wilde, Matthias Margier, and Martin Van Riel off the front there. And this course is absolutely insane. They had something like a 14-kilometer lead-in to this super complicated lap, and then they had to do 8 laps of this interesting, we'll call it, course, and then they had to go into T2 from there, and then they had 8 laps on the run course. So what happened was Hayden Wilde was leading out Matthias Margier and Martin Van Riel, and he apparently thought that T2 was closed and they had another lap to go, so Hayden blows past the turn into T2. And you could see kind of Martin Van Riel starting to get out of his shoes, but he saw Hayden go, so him and Matthias Margier follow Hayden around the bike course. Which
Hayden and the camera crew too, right? So like it wasn't just Hayden; there was like other people going too. So
totally, yeah. So and that's where they go around, and at this point, all they can do is another 8-kilometer lap. My favorite part of this point was the commentators' reactions, because they didn't know what was going on. We don't know what's going on, especially Jan Verdino. He's just like, did he, like, what is this guy doing? So there was a lot of debate whether T2, the entrance, was closed or not. You can see on the broadcast it's not closed.
No, and Hayden said that in his own post today. It was not closed. It was on him. But not it. The T100 should do better, is what he said.
Yeah. So then they go around there. So they go on the last lap, and then who was it? Was it Sam So now Sam Dickinson is like coming in off the bike and he's running into transition and he's looking around. There's no other bikes there. And he knows that there's three off the front. So he's like, look around like, what happened? Just the expressions on people's races during this race is like the best part of all of it. So he's looking around, wondering what happens. And then he runs out onto the run course. And then the even better expression is when Hayden finally finishes that extra lap. He and Sam Dickinson are running side by side, but Sam Dickinson is like going
Already
for a
done
second
a lap.
Also, Hayden is running his bike into transition, just looking like, what the? Oh my God. Chaos in there. Yeah. And then from there, basically, Hayden Wilde, when he came up on Sam, he starts, we need mics on these athletes, first of all. Like, that would be incredible.
Really cool.
Hayden comes up and goes to Sam Dickinson, like, what happened? And he's like, well, like, you did an extra lap. Hayden was convinced he did not do an extra lap. He's like, I saw 76K. So I went into the next one. And Sam's like, yeah, I saw that too. And then we've got Jan on the commentary going, yeah, we were told it was going to be a little short at 79K. So I don't know where Hayden saw 76 and was like, okay, I guess I should do another 8K instead of 3.
And we all know the bike computers are off. There's a degree, right?
Especially like first like that.
Yeah, when you're going around like that. So yeah, and he clearly stated he saw 76. So does that mean you need to go all the way to 84?
Yeah. Yeah. So then they're running long, and then we start to see
run.
some changes.
If that was all that happened, I think would be okay. I don't think we would be having the discussions we're having, except for what then happened afterwards.
Yeah, what happened on the run then was excuse me. Morgan Pearson ends up passing to go into first. He's leading the run, and they've got 8 laps on the run as well. And they're going along, and once again, we see Hayden kind of like, what the fuck is happening? But we're
By the way,
running along.
Hayden's making a move too, though. Like, Hayden's running through the field.
Flying. Absolutely flying. So he's running along there, and then so we see him going, but then all of a sudden we see the finish line where Mika Newt starts running and takes
who's in second place, we thought.
We should be at second place, yeah. We go from the leader running to Mika Newt running across the finish line, raising the tape, but he's raising the tape like, what? This doesn't work. This makes no sense. Go? He's confused. You know what? That's what I need to do is like screenshot just the expressions of these guys at the various points across this race. So then a bunch of them finish who were behind Morgan Pearson. And then Morgan finishes the correct number of laps, runs in, and he's just, again, that same what the expression, because there's a bunch of guys there and he thought he was leading the race and in front, and there's 8 other athletes there already. So, man.
So at the end of the day, only 4 dudes did 8 laps on the run, 8 laps on the bike, and the 2 laps on the swim. So that becomes an issue right there. Technically, there's only 4 people that finished the actual T100 race itself. But how the heck do you treat 14 guys who technically should get disqualified and are now out a ton of money because of an organizational issue on the run, for sure? I think they all would have done 8. Now, Hayden and Martin and Martise would have done extra, but at least they would have done the 8 on the run as well. And that becomes the main issue. And yeah, there's a lot of money at stake, and it's not just that race either, too, that you're talking about. It's the points overall for the series, which somebody like Martin Van Riel, who his season was impacted by injury, and then the schedule changes that the T100 made, that impacted what races he could get to and go to that he thought he was going to, and now you're telling him and others that you're not finishing in a position you thought you were going to, or you were fit enough for on that day, because those 3 were way out in front and they're pretty good runners, especially Martin and Hayden. Like, Hayden, I think if you look at his splits, would have finished like 2 or 3 minutes ahead of everyone if he just take it that way. And like
Crazy.
he would have won the race hands down. Martin would have probably been right there with him in second, and then does Mertiz hold on for third? Probably becomes the question.
Yeah, so if you didn't
And
watch
Hayden
these,
might have even ran up to the podium at the end of the day if he was allowed to do it an eighth lap, he would have probably ran to third.
yeah, so why the discussion is going on about the run being a little bit different is there was kind of confirmation that there was an issue with the lap timer and officials directed the athletes into the finish line. A number of the athletes, except for the 4 who actually ran the full distance, they were directed by officials to the finish line. So whereas Hayden, that front group, they made a mistake on their own and did the extra lap, this was a case of race officials directing athletes to the finish line, which becomes the more complicated side of things because, yes, athletes need to know the course. But at the same time, when you have race officials telling you directions, you need to follow those too. So that's where it gets into a whole more of whose fault was it, the organization failing or the athletes? Because the athletes knew they had another lap. But if you have a race official telling you, no, you're done, go to transition, well, you can do like Jake Burwhistle and say,
I was
no,
going to say, unless you're Jake Burwhistle,
good.
who's riding on someone else's bike with somebody else's equipment. Like he's
I
got
didn't know
nothing
that.
going. Oh yeah.
was.
He borrowed an age grouper's bike or something like that. He was
No
wearing
way.
Vincent Louis' helmet and like he had none of his stuff showed up.
God. Man, what do you think, Fede? That was insane.
I mean, I was so confused. For a second, I was like, "This must be a joke," or there must be someone to there must be someone to blame. But it was the whole thing. Like the course wasn't signaled the right way. The marshals got it wrong. The athletes were doing what they were told to do. It was just error after error after error, and I social media exploded. I think I think the comment that cracked me up the most was the one that said something along the lines of, "Was Tommy Fury in charge of the course management?" And I just couldn't believe it. Like this is pro racing, and the fact of the matter that some of these athletes got the wrong end of it. Like they lost thousands of dollars. They create their race calendar around these races so they can actually make a living out of this. And the fact that they screwed them up like this, it just it was sad. I'm sure the T100 didn't intend for this. Like nobody wanted this to happen. And but to me, they should compensate athletes one way or the other for screwing this up the way they did, because they do have the funding to like compensate athletes economically one way or the other, because this is unacceptable, and this is pro racing, and we are talking about making our sport way more professional and backing the T100 and what was the PTO and all of this, and the way they changed races, like dates for races, and now this, I'm sure probably most of the athletes are gonna go with the Ironman Pro Series next year, and they're gonna do a T100 race if they can. But that's those are my.
I mean, the other interesting piece too that's come out since I think I saw across the newswire was that they renewed in Dubai already too. So there's more money that they just received and got, and now they're going back to this course that just got bashed all weekend, and you've got athletes on the fringe. Like even if they finish in the top 10, are they doing the first race next year? That's in question now. Like whereas before, like those were contracts, they were probably going to do it. There's no contracts now. So like if you're in the top 10, like it's your choice whether or not you want to do a T100 race or not. And you're a Martin Van Riel, and you want to race and make money next year, know what you're doing. Like, are you now looking at New Zealand? And if you're training for Ironman New Zealand and anything early season and Kona is your target, you're not going to be wondering where to fit in the rest. Now, the T100, and based on our talks with Sam Renouf a few weeks ago, they're going to have their schedule soon. But I mean, how trustworthy is that? Is I think what the athletes are looking at it, and look, we all want to see the sport grow, and it needs to start with the professionals, and that's the inspiration, and that's where every sport has grown, is starting with the professional field, and then other people like you and I want to do what those pros are doing, and how close can we get, and how better can we get, and how do we compete, and that's where the sport grows in general, and the athletes make more money in endorsements, and you need to have something you can trust. The brands need to have something that they can trust their athletes being able to show up and podium. Like Martin has bonuses, and now he's not on the podium in a race that he would have finished on the top two steps.
Yeah.
Those things matter, and it's the trust, I think, is the biggest piece of this that we just is going to be hard for them to replace. And what changes do the T100 make? Do the board members make? Like, is there a big change coming? I don't know. I think at the end of the day, they're still a young organization and a young race organization, and I think there's still some benefit of the doubt to be played there. But this one was a tough one for a lot of people to swallow, and you've seen it in the reactions. And even Martin's second reaction was still a pullback from his first. It was more professionally stated than his first initial reaction very shortly thereafter the race.
Go
But it
check out
was
his
still,
socials.
yeah, definitely check out his socials, and you can certainly see the more professional response still had the same feelings in the background.
Yeah, and I think the big thing there is, like, this is tens of thousands of dollars difference for him, right? Because of the changes to the different race locations. Now he's down a good score, where if he was able to do some of the other races that were planned in the season, he'd probably have a backup race where he got decent points, but that wasn't an option once they changed locations, so he's gonna have one score on that brings him drastically down the rankings in the T100, and that is a lot of money at the end of the day.
And I mean, he won the T100 last year, so huge piece of what they're building. And he renewed his contract for this year, which then takes him out of the Pro Series for the most part, especially when you add in the injury, right? And then he still has a great day in Nice, and is able to get ready and be prepared to come in to the rest of the T100 season. And that was his target, was how do I get to the top of that podium in Qatar, or at least second step? And we all know Hayden's sitting on a perfect score and is
Yeah.
probably walking away there, right? So if somebody lost the least amount of money in Dubai, it was Hayden Wilde, because he was sitting on a perfect score anyways. And nothing he can do to change that. But somebody like Martin Van Riel and some others who could drop one of their lowest scores and replace it with a better score didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah, and the part that's most ironic is the PTO started because athletes were tired of situations they were let off course,
My
and
God.
just amateur errors were happening, specifically in a race that set everyone off with Challenge Dubai
Yeah.
years ago. So we've come full circle, but I don't know if it's in a good way. What do you
No.
guys?
No.
And there's only more racing coming in the Middle East. So
Uh,
hopefully we can get it figured out. Ironman and T100 are basing a lot of their future off of the Middle East, and we got to find a way to get people there. It's very interesting too, because I heard the T100 was saying that there was close to 8,000 people racing over the
I heard
weekend. And
2,000.
yeah, so I don't know what the actual number was, because if there was 8,000,
I think so.
I think the broadcast would have looked a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With the
I
amount
haven't
of
heard.
people there.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think one of my biggest issues with this is T100 has been fairly toothless when it comes to withholding their own rules. So they partnered, and you know what? It might not even be T100's problem, because they partnered with World Triathlon, and World Triathlon is supposed to come in as kind of the arbiter of the rules to uphold those. And okay, we're going to go to their standards, to their setup, right? So really, it should be them that are kind of determining penalties, or determining if people should be out for races, like the Hayden Wild thing with the shoes, or this situation where they had a significant number of the athletes not complete the course. Now, according to the rules, and we've heard this at every amateur race briefing, and I'm sure they have at all the pro race briefings, it's up to you to know the course. If you don't complete the entire course, it's an automatic DNF, right? You're out, you're disqualified. So what they did here, if you hadn't heard, was essentially they would have had 14 athletes on the men's side be disqualified. There were only 4 that actually did the entire course. And obviously T100 doesn't want to have that happen because that looks pretty bad. But if they're following World Triathlon rules, that should have been what the punishment essentially was. But instead of enacting their own rules with World Triathlon, they brought the athletes together and put it to a vote of what the actual outcome should be. And what they ended up deciding was the standings at the end of lap 7 for the run were determining what the actual finish is. What sucks here is for someone like, say, a Jake Birtwistle, right? You're in a room with all your peers, with all the people you're racing with. They asked the 4 people who actually did the full course, do you want all these people to be disqualified because you guys actually deserve the results and do the full thing? Well, of course, Jake Birtwistle, he would have gone from last to 4th, so he obviously wants that. But in a room of your peers and the people you're going to be racing with for the next few years, would you say, yeah, I think you all should be out? And that, it's put on the athletes to make that kind of decision and suffer the repercussions of it instead of World Triathlon coming saying, this the rules, this would happen, here's the result.
Yeah.
What do you guys?
And the vote was only on the run. So I know that there's been some backlash that they weren't allowed to vote on the bike aspect of it as well, which I kind of get because it only was 3 dudes off the front and it wasn't a T100 technical error per se. But on the run, it does show you the camaraderie and the community that the pro triathletes have, and especially in a small room of only 18 men at that race. And again, this was another 20 people on each line, and I think the male and female start line was only 18. And I know we lost Dubrick DNF'd, and they only had 19 start, and I think the females only had 18 start. So that's just the nature of being in Dubai again too, and not having backups or wild cards on hand to race with. But to me, yeah, there's. I don't think you come out with a different outcome when you're asking the competitors themselves, like you said, Jenna. These are all, a lot of them, friends and good friends, and they love to compete against each other. But at the end of the day, they're also having pints with each other at the end of the season and stuff. So, yeah, I'm not surprised by the way they voted, and you could kind of see it. Like Mika Nuke came out and talked and did like a 3-minute conversation on his social media right after the race, and he felt for some of these athletes, and he's like, yeah, I benefited from it, but it also sucks for these guys, and I think that's the consensus. But then, yeah, you get somebody like Jake Birtwistle who's literally did 98K, 99K, and finishes last and gets no impact whatsoever, except for Bill for traveling there.
I feel that the athletes got the worst end of all of this because, like you were mentioning, Jenna and Josh, I think the T100 and the World Triathlon, those guys played it super safe, and I think they knew if they ask the athletes, do you guys want to get together, put it to a vote, and we'll let the athletes decide? I think they were salivating at this because they were gonna be like, we don't have to make the tough call. We're gonna let them decide, and the athletes know the athletes better, and they're gonna make the better call for everyone. And we, the big organization, are gonna wash our hands and not make any big boy decisions and let them decide. And I think that was a super wrong call. What I think should have happened is, okay, we screwed up. We are going to compensate all of the athletes the same amount of money. We're going to cover your expenses. We're going to send you back home and a compensation fee or whatever. And then we're going to have a redo of the race or whatever. Or just scratch this race off the calendar. But I think the way they handled it and to let the athletes decide was just wrong
Mhm.
from their end.
Yeah, and you know what? I was thinking about this. Like, how could they make this right for the athletes? Because if you do have a series-long narrative with these rankings, what if they did something like, okay, instead of 4 races and the grand final counting, what if it's 3 races in the grand final, right? We screwed up. This shouldn't count. It brings in a whole lot more players into the grand final for having rankings. And it just makes it so everyone gets 3 races, evens it out a little
Yeah.
bit after the disaster. And then even so, we've got a better narrative and a better race going into Qatar. What do you guys think about something like that?
I like that idea of removing a race because the whole schedule all season long has kind of been jumbled up. I mean, changing Vegas to Wollongong is huge, and losing a
Slight change.
race, losing a race location is huge, and that impacts which races people do. Like, I mean, Paula Finley was going to do Vegas; she did not go to Wollongong.
Mhm.
And we know there's plenty of others that had that race lined up. So I do like that aspect and that idea, Jenna, that you remove the 4th required race, you give people 3, then a race like this doesn't impact the entire season narrative as much because it really didn't play out the way it was going to. And kudos to Morgan Pearson. I mean, great race. Congrats
Yeah.
on 35 points and your first ever T100 win.
Oh, what a way to
But
close it.
he doesn't feel like he won his first T100 race either. I mean, he's getting closer and he's getting better. He probably would have finished 4th, but maybe 3rd. It wasn't a win that he's gonna be like, yeah, I'm there. I'm taking down Hayden like going forward. No, that's not there. So you didn't get the race the way you wanted it. So if you do make it 3, yeah, you're making a change, but you're making a change that now
Yeah.
allows other people to not worry about this race as much as they have. And yeah, they didn't get to use it as something to replace another score, but no one else did either. And I think that's important.
Totally. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Oh, that's a really
But the financial piece needs to be taken care of too, like Fed said.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really smart way to put it, Jenna. Just scratch one race. And also the fact that we are not talking about Morgan's performance and all of the shenanigans
Yeah.
just goes to show how bad things were over there. So not taking anything from Morgan or the athletes, they should be the stars of the show every single time. And the fact that we're talking about something completely different just goes to show how bad of a screw up that was. And think about sponsors and brands wanting to showcase their product to the public and to be present.
Finish line moments.
Yeah, that then it just, I mean, it's just error after error, and they need to get it right. Uh, so yeah, that's that, and hopefully they learn from this and come back stronger with better courses, more clarity, and with actual protocols of what should happen if something like
Yeah.
this ever happens again.
Well, they can hire Kyle. I know he made it to Arizona with his lap
That
signs.
was
So
great. I loved his stories. He's posting pictures with the light flash on there. I'm like, perfect. That is perfect. And then if you guys saw the finish line photos there, they kind of retook them in the dark with Morgan Pearson getting to cross that finish line finally several hours, I'm sure, after the race to get those pictures. You know what it reminded me of was what was it? The Volta España. I don't know if you guys saw it. They canceled the podium
Yeah,
presentation because of all the
yeah,
protests and everything going on there. And basically some of the support crew and stuff ended up doing this like ad hoc podium presentation for the winners, like the banner set up across the side of a bus kind of deal in the dark and just totally so the
to get it
athletes could
done.
have their moment. I'm like, that is
Yeah.
exactly what this looks like. So at least still got a little bit of it.
Well, our discussion kind of goes in line with the broadcast and the coverage of the female race too, because it was kind of forgotten a little bit. And
Entirely.
unfortunately, yeah. And what a performance that was, because they did their entire race. All the girls did 2 laps on the swim and 8 laps on the bike and 8 laps on the run. That finished the race and We have the old Julie Duran looks like she's back and ready to go for Qatar.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just made it look easy out there. Like, and I
And Kate
wish we'd
Wa's no slouch, right? Kate Wa's had a great year, and Julie just kind of ran away with it.
totally. And that was kind of the disappointing part. Like, I am a fan of having the races on the same day, a few hours apart. I think that works if they get the broadcast right. But this was a case of we kind of saw them come out of the water. We didn't see the points that we want to see, like the position jockeying the first little bit of the bike, right? It was just like all of a sudden there was no women's race until the men's race finished. And then we saw them on the bikes, but there were no leaderboards. So we didn't know where anyone was. We just knew Julie was in the front. And there was no information coming in, and the commentators don't know. So we don't know unless you have the tracker open at the same time, which I don't want to pull open the tracker because I'm watching it all on delay because I'm not going to be up at 3 a.m. watching the women's race. So that was disappointing that we missed a lot of it and we didn't know how people got to where they were or where everyone was in the race for quite a while till it all kind of got sorted out. The ones that they will say for the broadcast though is their broadcast team is solid. Like they are good. When they get the information, it's great. And when things go sideways, they will say it. Jan Frodeno is just like, we don't know what is going on.
Don't know what's going on.
That was the best, probably commentating Jan trying to keep it together and then not knowing what was happening. That was just kudos to Jan for keeping it together in such an eventful day.
A long day too, as we've discussed with the double broadcast, right? And they do as good of a job as they can. I think it's unfortunate that the men went first on that day, right? Because they've swapped that as well. The females have gone first and the guys have gone. So maybe this is another good thing that they're splitting up the series next year and that the guys and the girls will have separate race days. So maybe that is a positive there. Hopefully we don't have any repeats of what we had in Dubai anyways, but man, what did you guys, who do you think was the most like surprising performance? So like Jess Learmonth, like what, right after Marbella to come back and do what she did?
I think I love Jess like on the podium just because we get the post-race interviews. Like she is just so entertaining, no filter, loves what she does. And even talking about the real struggles of like mom life as a professional athlete, right? Like she apparently got no sleep from her little one like before Marbella 70.3, which that definitely has an impact in there. And then traveling across the world again to get to Dubai and trying to manage that. But it was so cute seeing them like pouring the water on her at the finish and like getting that piece of it. So we had Jess in third place and Kate Waugh in second place, who, like you said, Josh, has just been, since she's burst on the scene, she's been consistently on that podium and affecting races for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a Qatar finish, that's for sure.
I honestly think Julie Duran's performance, obviously she won, but it was impressive because holding off Kate Waugh is no joke.
Yeah.
And the way she did it, it looked like she could have gone a step further if she needed to. So just unbelievable. And I think we're just starting to see what Julie is able to do on the run. And maybe I don't want to jinx it or anything, but maybe we're starting to see a Annie Haug 2.0 on the run when it comes to Julie Duran. And to do it on over the T100 distance and 70.3 distance, it's a completely different game. And if she is able to translate that over the long distance racing, things are going to get interesting.
I mean, she was going to be a factor in Kona this year until she had to pull out. And that changed the dynamic this year. So now if she can stay healthy into Kona next year, there's another one. Is she now targeting the Pro Series? Like, how does that all play out next year? And
I'm curious to see.
It'll be interesting to see how it works out on the female side. I think we know the pros in general are very pro Series right now, and it'll be interesting to see how that does play out. And we might not know unless they announce it, what they're doing and their intentions, like some of them have been doing, especially for their sponsors and stuff. But without the T100 contracts next year, it's going to be a little bit more up in the air, I guess. And until we get a start list for that first race, like who in the top 10, like now there's this battle for the top 10. And like some of the biggest battles in Qatar are going to be who's going to finish in the top 10. And maybe not so much the podium spots, except for on the female side, it's like wide open, right? On the men's side, it's Hayden's pretty much, right? And but the top 10, those like 8 through 12, 8 through 13 are up for grabs to see who can get into the top 10 and be on the start list if they want come the first race next year.
Yeah, going back to the women's race here, like this result makes that Qatar final incredibly exciting because there's going to be 1.5 times the normal points in Qatar. And with Julie Duran having the race this weekend, it's basically Julie Duran, Lucy Charles Barclay, Kate Waugh, whoever wins, wins. Like the points are just that close after this season that it is going to be a drag out fight to the finish with all to gain or lose on the day. And that is going to be so cool to see, especially I think that time of year makes it really challenging because we're well into December after a very long season. Julie Duran to me is looking really good for that because she kind of had that forced break. And
she's already had her off season.
Yeah. And we've seen she's fit. Like there's no guesses there.
In the heat already.
Good.
Yeah.
Meh.
Definitely looking forward to the women's race.
Definitely.
In Qatar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then for the men's race, we'll be looking for second and third because Hayden Wilde is on a perfect score for the races that count in there for points, which honestly I was surprised he was so upset or animated with the race. Like he doesn't get the prize money by not winning this, but other than that, he's probably the person least affected.
Overall, big picture, but like it's like in the NFL, like if you win the Super Bowl but you lost one game, like
yeah. Like
that perfect season is yes. Trust I didn't want to say who that happened to, but that perfect season was on the line, and I think in his eyes too that's where the GOAT status starts to get talked about when you do things like that.
Around there. Well, it is going to be some epic racing. I think one of the things T100 definitely needs to invest in is there needs to be a person that is in charge of exactly that. Counting the laps, making sure the person goes in, having worked with a few different race organizers, there's always that paid position because it's important enough that you can't rely on volunteers. And I heard some people saying that they thought there was a lot of backlash on the volunteers for this, for misdirecting them or whatever, but it likely wasn't or shouldn't have been a volunteer that's in charge of something like that. That should be a paid position. And
can't rely on the electronic scoreboard.
Yeah, and it's just funny that with the thing with World Triathlon, that this did become an issue because that's basically what they do with all their races, like 8 laps around a bike course, around a run course. You got the bell lap, like just ring the bell when it's the last one. Everyone knows and makes it to the finish. Well, I think that is a lot on the T100. Was there any other thoughts on that before we move on to some other racing?
It was a lot longer than I thought we were going to discuss it, but it needed it. We did touch on Kyle and his signs at Arizona, so maybe we can do a quick recap on Arizona because it had some implications for next year's World Championships for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds like you were watching along there, Josh. Do you have the results up for Ironman Arizona?
I don't have them up, but I think I remember them mostly. Yeah, I have the tracker.
You forget.
Yeah, go ahead, Fed.
Right, so on the men's, we had monoathlete, Menno.
Big shout out here.
Big shout out to Menno. Oh my God.
And the brand new V21.
The brand new V21, Menno Colahats taking the win in 7:28. With an amazing run. Everybody was expecting him to blow up, and I'm just so glad he shut up so many mouths. Menno taking the win. Sam Long, second place, and Ben Canute, third place over there on the men's side. And on the women's side, we had Simone Daly from Great Britain, first place.
On her last ever race.
On her last
retirement race.
Yep, exactly. And then from the US, Rachel Zilinskas taking this second place. And
shout out to your mom too, Rachel, because I know she won her age group. So you're going to Kona together.
That's awesome. Well, you know what? It's going to be really interesting to see which mom, because where are the dads? L-
We are
Lionel
seeing a lot of that actually.
Lionel's mom, Taylor Neve's mom, and our Rachel's
Yeah,
mom. We should have like a little competition in Kona. Who's the fastest duo combination?
there you go.
And
Yeah.
on third place from Italy, we had Elisabetta Corridori in third place. So
And that was actually probably the best battle of the entire day was for that third step
Yeah.
with her and Alice Alberts. They ran together for like a good 10 plus miles. They were like shoulder to shoulder. And then it was a sprint finish pretty much. I mean, it was a 30-second difference by the end of it. And luckily for Alice, it was Simone's last race. So Alice got the third spot to Kona, even though she finished fourth
Yeah.
off the podium.
So 3
We can
spots on
talk
the
about the men's podium too, because there's some discussions around that
let's
Kona slot.
let's.
Italy. So 3 Kona spots on either side went down to the fourth. I have to say, I think I did pretty well in the predictions for this one here, getting at least more of my athletes finished. I think that's
I had one finish, and she almost won. I almost got my pick for the win right on the women's side, but
this was a race of DNFs. It was absolutely
God.
crazy in there. There's so much drama.
we all had
Out of-
Rasmus
We all had
gone
I know.
early.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God he's okay.
Yeah, it seems like he'll be okay there. But yeah, with Menno, he just got his V21 tri-suit and there was like an issue with the shipping. He ended up getting it like last minute, last possible second to get it to him there in time. Although I have to give him a little bit of criticism there. He had the fastest tri-suit in the world on, but then he had long socks pulled up over his calf sleeves. Okay.
Yeah.
This is not helping the aerodynamics there. If you got calf sleeves,
Did he have them up on the bike though, or was that only on the run? I think I remember seeing him barefoot on the bike.
was he barefoot? Okay.
Yeah.
I just saw the finish line picture and I saw that. I'm like, that
Yeah.
hurts my head.
That's where we all look like fools because we do put the socks on in T2. And you're like, no. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was barefoot in for the race.
Yeah, and then we had the drama with Sam Long. So his wife is pregnant if you haven't seen, and it was basically on the bubble of is she gonna give birth or not before this race? And they were hoping that she'd give birth before. And then it got so close, like, no, okay, hold off until afterwards in here.
Yeah. And they live like an hour and a half away.
Yeah. I can't imagine the mental stress of that, trying to prepare for a race and that mental aspect, knowing you may or may not race depending if your wife goes into labor or not. That's tough to get into that race. That's
And to have Lara as your wife, who is a former triathlete, and who knows if she's ever going to come back and become a professional, but she's in this for Sam to win it. And so her mindset is like, yeah, we're going to have a healthy baby, but you need to go do your job and go to work. And Sam mentioned that, but
yeah.
at the same time, and there's race briefings and there's regulations around those and regulations around getting your slots for Kona, and it literally an age grouper has to show up in order to take their slot and to take their award. So
Same
I don't
for
know.
the
What are your
pros.
guys' thoughts? Yeah, I mean, for the pros are supposed to. So it seems like there were special considerations put in place for Sam this weekend. Sounds like.
Yeah, there was some chatter that he didn't make it to the pre-race press brief or pre-race talk, and he also wasn't going to be at the post-race award ceremony. We've actually seen it happen in the past where a pro who was going to get the Kona spot had some issues with travel or getting to the award ceremony. They didn't make it to the award ceremony, so they did not get their slot to Kona. The rule is kind of a hard rule. You have to be there to get your spot, and they made special accommodations for Sam Long, which I think it sounds like it kind of ruffled the feathers of a few other pros and people and stuff, but this is such a unique situation.
Yeah.
I don't have any qualms about it. It's not that you didn't bother to show up. It's pretty big life thing. What do you think, Fed?
Yeah, I agree with you, Jenna. I think if there is like if there is maternity leave, there should be something there for fathers if a baby is on the way. Of course, they didn't plan to this situation to happen. Like right on the day of the race, my wife could go into labor. Well, I think the race organizers can make certain exemptions, and I think everybody would understand. And this is so much bigger than triathlon. So if he already put in the time and effort and actually showed up and race, and then went on to take the family matters afterwards, yeah, if he gets a slot, just give him the slot. No big deal. It's not like you said, Jenna, that, oh, I just don't want to go to the awards. Then that's different. But in this case, I don't have any problems with that.
Yeah, and he didn't book flights or anything. He said they live an hour and a half away. I think that the piece that maybe we don't know how it was handled, but is more concerning to me is that race briefing, because it is important and there's a lot of aspects that get touched on there. Questions get asked and come up, and maybe somebody gave Sam his own personal private race debrief or whatever, and we don't know that. I don't think anyone's ever said anything about that. But yeah, on the post race side, like, yeah, go be with your family. Like, I get the point of being there and showing up, but in this instance, like you said, Jenna, that this is something different and not expected, and it's not like he planned to not be there and screw over Ironman. But I think the safety aspect of the original piece, knowing you're an hour and a half away, like, go up to Tempe, go to the race briefing, and if you need to go back, you go back. I mean, you're an hour and a half away, you'll get back to the hospital in time. So but I would imagine he got his own little private debrief. He's going to Kona. He had a pretty good Ironman, his best one ever, even though he's still kind of bunked on the marathon run, and made it interesting. And we want to talk about a performance. We talked about Jess Learmont going from Marbella to Dubai,
Yeah.
Ben Canute going from Marbella to Arizona, and his bike showing up.
Yeah.
And
That's the key, that his bike showed up.
his bike showed up with kids and going off the front with Menno the whole race. I mean, the two of them came in the T1, T2 together, and what a race for Ben, and for him to be able to hold on with Colin Zook and some others coming, and Matt Hansen, same thing. Marbella, yeah, not as fast in Marbella, but man, the guy ran a heck of a marathon in Arizona 1 week later, as he always does. But yeah, he got up to fifth.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and the women's race, we saw actually quite a few retirements from some of the old Garden triathlons. So I can imagine that post-race party was something special, with so many kind of hanging up their hats and calling it a day for the last time in there. There were definitely a few emotions, I'm sure. I was going to suggest we do Ironman Cozumel picks, but I have a feeling this start list is so far off who's actually going to start. It's not even worth trying to make predictions.
Well, we had a couple of DNFs in Arizona trying to get on the list. We know that.
Yeah. So I think we'll hold off on that one. It's not going to be covered as well. Shout out to Pro Tri News, having Kyle out there and actually giving us some insight into the race. That was really good to see too.
And Slow Twitch too. I mean, there was some good coverage of Arizona without any broadcast whatsoever, and then we got to watch the finish line, which was cool.
I feel at some points we got more information on the race at times because they weren't just focused on the front too.
Right.
The whole race. Getting some insights, and we saw some things like that was another part. Joe Skipper, this guy must, like, I don't know if he has the worst luck in triathlon or the worst bike mechanic in triathlon. Like, where's that?
Or both. The stubborn junkyard dog. Who's got an Allen key? Come on now.
Brutal, man. This guy, you know what? He definitely brings some personality and entertainment to the sport. So at least we can say that. We were going to go into kind of the age group world championship slot allocation changes, but we're actually working on getting Scott Duru on the podcast. So I don't know what you guys think, but maybe we hold off on that until we can see if we can get him on to explain it to everyone, and he'll have all the answers and get all the details right. If you haven't already, head to our Instagram. We kind of broke down what the reasonings behind it and what the change in the slot allocation is going to look like. If we don't get Scott on, then we'll definitely chat about it in our next episode there too. Other than that,
and you could already see, like,
go ahead.
You could see, like, Arizona had some impact too. Like, there were people that got slots in Arizona that you would not have seen get slots previously.
Yeah, I think the overreaching thing is at least Ironman is listening and trying to make some adjustments. It may not be perfect, but at least they're adapting when they kind of heard the feedback, right? So hopefully we'll get Scott on and we can hear it straight from them, kind of the reasonings and everything behind it and what they're going to be looking at going forward. And then also stay tuned. We're going to release this episode, but tomorrow we're going to release an episode with Ironman 70.3 world champion Jelle Geens. We're going to be chatting with him in a couple hours here to get his experience race day and what it felt like having that second win in a row, battling it out, rubbing shoulders with Christian Blumenfeld down the finish line for one of the most epic finishes that we almost didn't see on race day. Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun there. So definitely stay tuned for the next episode.
We'll see if we can get his take on which series he's doing next year.
That'd be a big question. I'm curious. I asked him at the post-race briefing, which it was really fun to be able to stand up and go, Jenna-Caer, Another Triathlon Podcast, ask questions. Because they only allow media or people with media passes to ask questions at the pre and post race conference there. But he says he's looking at doing an Ironman, but we will definitely nail down what his plans are as much as we can tonight. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Well, so good as always, guys. And I will see you guys in a few hours when we talk to Jelle. Until then, we'll be back next week with a regular episode too.
Awesome.
Have a good one, guys.
See ya.